But 'twas certain the snow comes with winter. Golden armor! Golden air!
Neve stood surrounded by advisors, discussing, when all at once they heard a mighty thud.
Bloody hell!
They looked to see a cavalryman who'd clearly fallen from his saddle. The men who'd witnessed the blunder began to jest, only to choke on their laughter, as the wretch, having risen to his hands and knees, began to shake and vomit blood. The medic's diagnosis: poison. In spite of his best efforts, the cavalryman breathed his last that very night. Soon, several other riders developed the same symptoms, and at the last shared their comrade's fate. All were buried at the roadside, beneath an old willow.
This looks to be no coincidence,
Reynard said, gravely.
Our stores of water. Someone's poisoned them. We must find the fiend. In the interim, your Majesty must quench her thirst with wine.
lady, a strange boat floated past. I thought it Imperial, but it flew not black sails, but red uns. Deep red, like blood.
Horns sounded. Meve recognized them at once as those of the Lyrian vanguard. She drew her sword and prepared to face the invader. Yet coming down upon her force were not Nilfgaardians, but bearded warriors clad in leather, horned helmets on their heads. This was not so. The Queen could not believe her eyes.
Skelligan raiders? This far inland?
But this was no time to be bewildered. Meve spurred her horse. It neighed and reared, and then the twain leapt into the fray.
Reynard, what the devil? Sea raiders here!
I'm a born sailor. The gods are with us! There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die. Let us put our steel to the test!
Again and again and again.
We'll ransack your temples! Wipe ourselves on your vestments!
You must sweat like a swine in that jacket.
One bullet's all I need.
Ours is not to reason why.
Got a bad case of rower's back.
Army's a waste of time for one like me.
You've got stones, wench.
Give us all you got! Give me a target.
Sailed into troubled waters, mate.
Tell me you jest.
Our ballista, your command.
Olga Blackhand's taking on new swabbies. What do you say?
The Skelligers fought hard, fought bravely, brought mayhem. Yet the Queen's ordered, disciplined force won the day. The islanders seemed entirely undismayed at their defeat. A trait of theirs, I must admit, I've ever admired.
Well, you're right scrappy for landlubbers. Lippy Goodman applauds you for your pluck, Queen. When we sup, me and the lads will drink your health.
That we shall yet see, sir. We must know something first. What brings you this far inland? What drove you from the sea?
Meve asked, crossing her arms.
Ha! What always drives us? Looting and pillaging. The coast's picked clean since long, so we set our longships up the Yaruga for gold and glory!
Amusing. I always assumed you to be honourable folk.
And who dares to claim elsewise?
Your very actions do so. You've attacked a land preoccupied, a land already at war with invaders. But I suppose it makes sense. You've ever feared to attack Imperials?
The Queen prodded gently.
What did you say, wench?
Goodmund had quickly turned red with rage.
I'll prove just how wrong you are, I will! Why, we'll be drinking mead from Nilfgaardian helmets for sundown! Follow me, lads!
Meve smiled as she watched the islanders gather their gear and prepare to march. She doubted not in the least that Goodmund would honour his pledge.
Here the damage seems not so great.
It appears Nilfgaard's not yet turned its forces towards the capital. We're likely to encounter no more than pathfinders and foragers.
So I hope.
armor won't save them.
If the ring won't come off, just take the whole finger.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
One man's battlefield is another man's ripe patch for harvest.
As Meave and Company traversed the ruddy meadows, strident voices reached their ears.
I beg your pardon. I've heard enough. A duel. I challenge you to a duel.
A duel? Nonsense. I'd sooner lay you across my lap and give your arse a thorough flailing, you scoundrel.
The Queen approached the arguing parties. Two nobles, Lords Cartwright and Mansfield. Quickly she ascertained they were up in arms over ownership of an orchard lying between their estates. Assisting both nobles, their kinsmen, armed to the teeth, prepared to leap at each other and crush heads. Upon spotting Meave, the lords lowered their voices, bowed and presented themselves. Yet they could not keep their ire fettered long, and were soon casting aspersions again.
Your Grace, Mansfield has seized it. No, stolen my land. Land that has been in my family for generations.
It is my recompense for your reckless deeds. To burn down me mill in Furchin for a bit of sawdust in your flour? Well, I never.
A bit? Oh, let me at him. Farmhand's taken ill, cook's feverish, all from that manure. You are a fraud, sir. A fraud and a thief.
Though she faced the not at all trifling matter of the Nilfgaardian invasion, Meve agreed to settle the dispute. Reynard, who knew the history of every Lyrian and Rivian family 7 generations back, served as her advisor.
No doubt I would find for the Cartwrights. They are in the right here, as regards the title to the land. Yet your grace must consider, the Mansfields have ever served the crown and never delayed payment of tribute. Whereas the Cartwrights are litigious charlatans who owe the royal treasury thousands, many thousands.
From what I've gathered, you've both burdens on your conscience,
said the Queen.
And I've neither the time nor the inclination to ascertain who started this feud. You will split the orchard in 2. Make do with half a piece.
But my Queen...
Should my judgment displease you, Mansfield, I can always incorporate the land into the crown.
The Queen's threat silenced the feuding lords, yet it failed to bring their conflict to a close. In a few years' time, they were at one another's throats yet again.
A contract on a monster. Interesting.
The Nilfgaardian invasion necessitated certain steps. Meve had dispatched scrolls to her garrison commanders, based upon which they were to announce general musters. She'd hoped that by the time she reached Crydam, fresh recruits would be waiting to join her growing force. Alas, the commander of this fort, one Sergeant Griggs, had only bad news.
Your Majesty, I've not the numbers to man the walls even. The call to arms brings few new recruits and more men desert each day. Folk are terrified something awful. They don't believe in victory.
They don't believe in victory?
The Queen rose from behind the table, toppling her chair.
Then let them hear how I smashed the Blackclads at Dravograd.
Quick as can be, the commander gathered all Crydam's inhabitants in the central square. Meve stepped out in front of the crowd and recounted her most recent victory. The folk of Crydam listened with bated breath.
And so, we must stand together. Fight, arm in arm. Be a wall against which black-clad hordes will be dashed!
The townsfolk responded with thunderous applause. Yet enthusiasm is rarely long-lived. That born of Meave's fiery words had dispersed after but a few days. No new volunteers joined the garrison, and the townsfolk hid from Sergeant Griggs to avoid being pressed into service. Neither the town's nor the Queen's own company were reinforced, and Meave left Crydam angry as a wasp.
Dragon! A live one! Seen it with my own eyes! One boat.
Discipline shall bring us victory!
Got any victuals? Hungry like a wolf, I am.
Lady, something's wrong at Abbott's Ravine. I heard whinnies and screams at first. How all's gone silent.
On their way to the capital, Meave and company happened one fine day upon a lone rider. Had I been at her side, I would immediately have recognized his passionate gaze and altogether chivalrous mien.
Identify yourself, sir, and your intent.
Ake of Denel I am dubbed, and my design I never conceal. The good book says the world is a garden which the gods once conferred upon man, and we men have this garden neglected. In consequence, all manner of filth has made its lair here. Drowners, ghouls, and other kobolds. I have sworn ne'er to rest until the day when, with the gods' help, I have rid the world of these beasts and pests. I wander all lands, seeking out evil and facing it in mortal combat.
Who do we spy? A knight-errant?
Just as likely a madman. How goes your hunt? Caught the trail of any monster?
Monster? Too fair a term by far. An exceptionally vile worm has made its lair in nearby caverns. It is said to be the very distillation of filth. A slithering horror. A mélange of the macabre. Its head, that of a wild cat of Ophir. Its maw full of spiked teeth. The wings of a bat it is said to have. The tail of a scorpion, and from it a thick venom drips. Learned men call this variety a manticore, or mardiacore.
Perhaps it will be most prudent, then, to send for a witcher.
A witcher? Soulless automatons they are, all, feeding on common folks' fears. What they demand gold to do, I perform without demand of any coin.
Sir Ake, far be it from me to discourage you. Your endeavour is noble, no doubt. But from what I have heard, manticores are exceedingly dangerous beasts.
To defeat this filth alone could be a difficult task, I'll not deny. Yet try it I must, for it is what I have sworn before the gods.
We shall help you find and fight the manticore, provided you then pledge to help us fight an even fiercer and filthier beast.
Of course, my lady. Yet what manner of horror is it? A viper? A griffin? A drake of some rare form?
Were it only. 'Tis a beast of 1,000 heads, covered in black armor, its fire consuming whole villages.
Noble lady, I know bestiary is only in parts, yet I've seen some of the world, and never have I heard of such a terror.
You need but look about you, and spot Nilfgaard's legions.
Devastating. But you must forgive me, your grace. This struggle between realms is not one to which I can lay a hand.
If such is your view, I shall not insist. The care you show for my folk I greatly appreciate, Sir Ake of Donnell. Godspeed.
And to you, your majesty.
Not a scrap. Not... Not a scrap. Nothing to bury. Blood's all that's left behind.